ഫ്രണ്ടിലോട്ട് കൂടെ കയറി ഇരിക്കാൻ കേട്ടോ.
Please join me in welcoming our principal, Dr. Georgie sir, who has been instrumental in organizing this workshop. I humbly invite you to present the welcome speech.
Hello, good morning everyone. Dear friends, a teacher is a catalyst for the evolution of the full personality of the students. The mission of a teacher is really great. As Dr. Kothari mentioned, the destiny of India is being shaped in her classrooms. It's true about the whole world. Actually, teachers are instrumental in impacting the whole world, and we are actually producing great scientists, great engineers, great political leaders, and whatnot. If we want to develop the society, first we have to develop all the potentials that are latent in our own personality. So today we are having an exceptional workshop to sharpen our research skills and teaching skills as well. And we have a great resource person today, none other than Dr. Samir Babu sir, Associate Professor, Jamia Millia. And is currently serving in the Jamia Millia Central University in the Department of Educational Studies. He is also associated with universities Pendidikan, Indonesia as a visiting professor in education. He has also served as a visiting professor at the UNESCO Chair of Social Pedagogy in Poland. Earlier, he has worked with the reputed universities like Universities of Kerala, University of Kerala, Central University of Rajasthan, Aligarh Muslim University, and Delhi University. He has 11 research projects to his He has 11 projects to his credit, including ICSSR Impress Major. He was awarded the prestigious Shastri Mobility Grant to Canada in 2020. He has published 4 patents in innovations and has received research awards from the University of Kerala for 3 consecutive years. He has also published 11 tools and 26 authored or edited books. He also offers one complete MOOC on Swayam platform. He also received the Best E-Lecture Award from REST. He is a reviewer of many known journals like the British Journal of Educational Psychology, the Canadian Journal of Education, and Asia Pacific Journal of Humanities and Social Sciences. With a loud round of applause, let's welcome our resource person. I would like to welcome all the faculty members of Madhya Training College and all the faculty members from different colleges, research scholars, MS scholars, BS scholars, and public who are interested in promoting the course of education. Warm welcome to all of you. I would like to wish you a very good, outstanding stay here for one day and plenty of take home. Thank you.
Now I invite our beloved chief guest, Dr. Samir Babu, Associate Professor. He has also served as visiting professor at UNESCO Chair for Social Pedagogy, the MGU Warsaw, Poland. He has 11 projects to credit, including ICSSR Impress Major. He was awarded prestigious Shastri Mobility Grant in Canada 2020. He also received the Best E-Lecture Award from the REST. To share a few words on our behalf, I welcome you, sir.
Good morning, everyone. Respected dignitaries, dear principal, Professor Bindu, and all the other teachers, coordinators, representatives from various colleges, research scholars, eminent and MPhil students, BA students. Thank you so much for inviting me again to this prestigious College of Teacher Education, Martha Training College. I'm so happy to be here, having the hospitality of Professor Joju, sir and team. Thank you so much. Here again, I got an opportunity to share some of the ideas on research. I hope that I can give you something from my limited experience as a teacher and researcher. I'm not a big researcher, I'm not an excellent teacher, but with my limited experience, I hope that we can have a discussions and interaction. This is actually research. Conducting any sessions on research is always awesome because it is the need of the hour. The quality of the research, when we look into some of the parameters of ranking, recently we have seen that the 2%, 1% scientist listing. So when you see, we have, especially from the University of Kerala also, we have people from sciences, environmental science, we have people, physics we have people, chemistry we have people, microbiology, all the other scientific fields we have people. From the discipline education, psychology, we don't have anyone. Even from India, we cannot find anyone from education or educational psychology. The concern is that with my experience, I have seen that the research is not up to the level. We are still with, when we look into the research, I am not blaming anyone, but actually the paradigms that what we do is topics may be very significant one, but the procedure, the methodology, the framework of the research is really outdated. I'm not talking about any specific university. It is a common thing everywhere. Across India, if you look into the educational research needs serious updation, serious revisions in terms of its framework, technology integration of various software, rigorous analysis, writing, looking into the apt writing pattern. These are some of the requirements. Initially, we have to address these issues, otherwise again we will be going back when we consider some of the concerns of research that is happening across the globe. Even the neighboring countries of India, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Malaysia, Indonesia, when we look into the concerns of their publication, it is really wonderful. They are also having a very good index in some of the global rankings, especially in terms of research and publication. But that is not up to the level in India. India, we have position because of most of our science streams. To some extent, commerce and management is also up to the level. But subjects like education, we are not up to the level. We have to address, especially the budding scholars, you have to think in that line that you have to, something you have to trace out of the box, find out some of the strategies to be a good scholar, getting good publications in index journals that is approved globally, like Scopus, Web of Science, IEEE, but like index publication we have to try. For that, I hope that I can also give some instinct, at least some fire to you throughout my presentation. I'm also struggling to get published in very reputed journals. We know some of the struggles in India. In that line, especially this rigorous workshop, the planning is meticulously done. I'm sure that these kind of workshops, this kind of programs, any talks on research will definitely improve the quality of research. With these words, I declare that we can open together, we can open the program. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Now it's our lighting the land ceremony. I invite our beloved chief guest, Dr. Samir Babu sir, our beloved principal, Dr. Joji sir, and all the teachers. Following the inaugural session, we will proceed with the workshop class. Our resource person Dr. Samir Babu, sir, will share their expertise providing hands-on and training on.
Maximum.
Good morning. So our discussion is about tool development. Similarly, we have to discuss something basics about publication, funding as well. So publication and funding, I think we can take it in the afternoon. Before that, we can have a discussion on tool development. It is one of the very significant concerns in research and development. Tool development is one of the very essential aspects. But I prefer is to be whatever I am typing, that can be forwarded to you. So it is a kind of the same thing I can share to you also. So it will be in a file, so we can use it later for the reference. Let's see what is actually tool, what is the significance of. Before going to that, we know that research. In research, generally we talk about two types of research. Very basics, I am not looking into the very basic aspects. We know that research has its own significance. Research is actually, most of the time we talk about research in a light manner. After I got my post-graduation, I have my BEd, MAd, whatever it is. Now let me go to research. Let me try for a JRF, Junior Research Fellowship, and carry out the research. That is actually not the research. When you don't have a spirit of research, so research, the spirit of research actually, research is with the knowledge. Whatever knowledge we have, it is an after effect of a rigorous research. We are talking about Socrates, we are talking about Plato, we are talking about all the thinkers. They have carried out rigorous research either in a formal manner or informal manner. Then only they come up with some postulates, some principles and all. Because that is the research. We are talking about any aspects where we know that pressure and heat, there is a proportion. There is a relationship between pressure and heat. It is not all of a sudden they write that because of research, rigorous research, they come up with such kind of thing. In education, generally we talk about those who are having intelligence, they can do better, they can perform better. How do we say that? It is not based on any, it is not simply anything that someone has mentioned. With rigorous research, researchers carried out rigorous research time to time at various levels, then they finalize that intelligence is something that helps a student, helps a candidate, helps one to master over what he or she is doing. So that is why through research only we are getting knowledge. Any knowledge we talk about. We are talking about post-truth these days. What is actually post-truth? Why we think about, why we say about post-truth? So post-truth as one of the concepts we popularize, we talk about, we discuss, because it is emerged through various aspects. With some examples, with some ideas, with some narratives, we come up with such kind of a specific terminology. So anything, any knowledge is based on that. Any development is also based on that. We are talking about lots of development in terms of, for example, metros. Now, Delhi Metro. Delhi Metro, if you look into one of the best metro lines in India, if you look into, it is having international standards. Initially, when we have a Delhi Metro, so it was just kind of an amazing situation in those who are going to, because down to earth it has to go. So lots of discussions, lots of researches are required to come up with such kind of thing. Whether the soil quality is okay to construct, to dig down. Anything happen, what about the water, if water presence happens, what they have to do. So lots of research has to carry out in order to implement such kind of projects. So that line we have to think, then only research will be quality based. And only people should have a kind of concern about quality research. When we look into, I can give you an example, BEd and quality of education. We are talking about quality of education. Government school, nothing is being taught in government school. There is a saying, I don't agree, but it's a general statement without any ways people say sometimes. Some people say that by name there are private schools, but they are not teaching in English. By name they are English medium schools, but even teachers don't know how to speak in English. We talk about this as criticism regarding the quality of education. Both private and government schools are getting all the concerns like this. When you research on what is the quality of BEd program, Bachelor of Education program, whether we prepare teachers for teaching in a better fashion, whether we are training communication or whether teachers are able to teach both in government and private school, both in local medium and in English medium, then only we can say that quality of education as well. So there should be, if you are preparing teachers for a public institution, whether it is private or government, we have to train people to teach in those two lines. But if it is not that, how can we say that quality of education is happening? Just simply. Recently, when we were having a PhD interview in my university, some people say that we had an MR, I had a BEd and MR, but it was non-attending. It is happening. It is in many parts of India. It is happening. They publicly people started speaking that it is a fact that 5 or 6 students are attending. The other 100 people, the other 94 people, they will not be attending the classes. BEd is happening in many parts of India this way. Even everyone, when we talk about the quality of education, if the root cause of quality of education, sometimes we can call it as teacher education, revival of teacher education is required. Otherwise, it will be difficult to say something about quality of education. So my concern is not about quality of education of BEd and MPhil. My concern is that how it is linked with research. So rigorous research is required to identify such kind of things. So any concern we discuss, we are talking about road accidents. So we can link into we also recently also some of the newspaper report has come. I don't know exactly whether it was based on some specific research or not, but it says that after installing the cameras, AI cameras, the rate of accidents reduced. That especially in the two-wheeler accidents, comparatively reduced. Because so that is a kind of research. When you are implementing something, definitely the concern, the effect will be so such kind of research is required. So my concern is that whenever we are talking about research is not simply for getting a PhD or doctoral degree, but it has significance on knowledge generation, development, and innovation aspect. Now see, there are 2 different types of research. Generally, we talk about qualitative and quantitative. The paradigm, we know that there are 2 types of approaches. Some people go for quantitative, some people go for qualitative. In qualitative research, the idea, you have to get the idea in a rigorous manner. You should know what idea you have to go. What is the situation, what geographical area you are going to consider in your qualitative research. Here, the data collection is having its own significance. Data collection, in-depth analysis, all these matter in the qualitative research. To what extent you are identifying the scene and to what extent you are going inside that specific state of affair or specific construct. That is actually happening in the quantitative research. Whatever quantitative research, we are limiting the observation, interviews, or discussions will not happen in the quantitative research. So here we will have a definite thing that we call it as tools or measures. In quantitative research, it depends upon the quality of the tool that you are going to develop. So to what comprehensive it is, comprehensive nature of the tool, rigorous measures you adopt for validating the tool. All these are some of the aspects that similarly maturation of the level of participants. These are some of the things that we have to very rigorously consider while developing a tool. Sometimes some of the research scholars will have some trouble. That is, sometimes they will go for a test. The expert will say that no, test is not required. You have to go for a you have to get the opinion of multiple people to ensure that whether the scale is okay for me, whether the test is okay for me. Can I go for a questionnaire? Can I for an correlation tool or measures that should be very accurate. So when we discuss with people, they will discuss something about the procedure and other thing, but tool we may not discuss. To discuss what are the tools available we have? Checklist, it is an initial tool checklist we have. Questionnaire we have. Scales we have, scales of different types we have. Sometimes we go for a Thurston summative rating scale. Sometimes a Likert scale we go for sometimes. Summative and Thurston scale or Likert scale. These are the two things in terms of scale. Similarly, we have test, inventories, we have inventories, schedule. These are the main things that we have. Sometimes we have frameworks. These are some of the possible things. Similarly, in the scale, it is also in the scale semantic differential. You must have heard of semantic differential. Right. These are some of the scaling types. So which one is perfect for my research? So here there are two things. Once you look into the tools, these are the available tools, and what are the criteria of selection of the tool? What are the criteria of selection of the tool? There are the criteria like level of participants. We are talking about quantitative, so level of participants. What is then variable? For this variable, is it okay? For the study and its nature, my study is this way, so will it be possible? You can also see the time frame. Then type of administration, whether it is administration, is it online, offline? That you have to look into. Another is individual or group administration. All these are the criteria that we have to look into while selecting a tool. Once you, as a researcher, you should identify the tool, which one is possible. While you select the tool, these are the criteria that we can see that whether it is okay or not, whether it is apt for my research or not. Now again, some other aspects that we can look into, like the level of measurement. That is also we have to look into. At what level I need to take that tool? What level I need to take that tool? For example, we know that there are nominal scaling, level of measurement or scales of measurement. Nominal scale we have, ordinal scaling we have, interval scaling we have, ratio scaling. These are the four types of scaling. These are the things that we have to look into while we talk about the tools. Again, once again, I can tell you one more aspect, that is, again, along with the criteria, we have to look into the objectives and hypotheses that we developed. These are all criteria related to. So with all these things, we can decide which is my tool appropriate. Suppose one professor mentioned here, some of your guides told you that you can go for a scale. But you have to confirm whether it is okay or not. These times there are many platforms, AI platforms available to check whether I am selecting the right tool or not. Otherwise also you can talk to many people to confirm, now for this study I am going to have a scale. Is it appropriate? You have to discuss with many people. That is the requirement. Then only you can get the clarity that this is a perfect choice. Otherwise, in the later stage, some people say that, okay, no, this is not the right solution for you. So there are two options. Otherwise, the higher authorities, they have to approve that. Intervention is not a matter of concern. It is a matter of concern for you and your supervisor. Suppose you are developing a specific model, a strategy, constructivistic approach-based instruction in a blended learning platform. Suppose this is your research experimental. So here the development of, for example, let me write this. So your constructivism, you are taking constructivistic approach, and it is applying in blended. This is your concern. So you have to develop an intervention plan, or we can call it an experiment. So what kind of things that you are going to add is not a matter. What kind of activities you are adding to this experiment is not a matter. Plan even in advance. Once you go to school, get your approval of experimentation, then only you can decide what chapter you can take. Again, you have to talk to the authorities, concerned subject teacher. They will give you a chapter, whether in that chapter what kind of intervention I can do. You have to do a test. For the skill, there is some criteria. Always we see. For example, if you are talking about a skill, let me come to the other aspects. Yes, skill generally we go for a test. Similarly, achievement we go for a test. Achievement we go for a test. Personality also we have tests as well as inventories. This is concerning test. Then we can go for a scale. What is a scale? Scale generally attitude, opinion. These are the things. Other psychological variable also. Some psychological variables also we take scales. Inventories. Inventories we can see that inventory we use. Inventory is actually a comprehensive scale, comprehensive tool. It consists of questionnaire type, scale type and all. Comprehensively when we look into that is inventory. Sometimes we can see the personality inventory, interest inventory. Sometimes we can have career inventories. You can see. For these we go for an inventory. Personality inventory is also used. Aptitude we use test. Achievement के साथ aptitude. For skill, definitely there should be a test. Otherwise, if you have a perceived skill. So skill test. Suppose I am giving you a test on driving. Driving test. It's a test. Swimming test. It's a test. Intelligence is also sometimes test. Most of the time intelligence we have a test. Suppose I am talking about driving, proficiency of your driving inside a classroom. I have to check. So I can use a scale that is a perceived scale, perceived proficiency test or perceived proficiency. Through scale I can, but original proficiency can be attained, can be measured through a test only. Driving test. But what is your perception about your driving? You can have a scale. regarding the speed control, when it is a steep, how you manage it, when it is a narrow road, the management, reverse, how you manage, or when it's a traffic, how you manage. Regarding all these, if I can give the scale also, it is a perceived perception regarding my skill. It is not about skill test. It is not a skill test. Test will be someone else. Perception is about you. You are judging about yourself. You are giving a concern. That's where we can clarify that. So these are some of the aspects that we have to look into while selecting something. These are the aspects we have to look into selecting that. These are the basic things actually that we have to consider once we look into a development of a scale or development of a tool. So see, what are the aspects we discussed? We have checklist, questionnaire, scales, some even lighter type of scales we have, tests we have, inventories we have, schedules, frameworks, semantic differential type of scales. All these are the variety of tools available these days. Now, when you look into any specific aspects, what are the criteria that you will be considering? Level of the participants, you have to, in the scaling, you must have heard about the point scaling, Likert scaling, 5 point, 3 point, you have seen. The criteria, when you look into some of the aspects, the criteria of scaling is very strange, but we are not following that. If a person can read and write, we have to use at least 5 point scale. But still we are not using the upper scales. If especially recently we have seen that, I have also read in some of the books that if it is a secondary and senior secondary students, we have to use at least 7 point. At least 7 point scale, but rarely we use in some of the context. Scaling should be 7 point or 9 point scale. So that you have to look into to what level. If it is a teacher or professionals, definitely you have to go above 9 or 11 point scales. Actually, scaling is we are giving intensity to what extent that trait is with you. That is actually scaling. So we should have a rigorous parameter to measure. So minimum scaling should be 5 point if they can read and write. Otherwise we have to go for the higher levels like 7 point, 9 point. Even now we practice 5 point only. In 5 point, what is this? Suppose I can give you an example. I am socially capable or socially apt person to manage. Suppose this is a statement. I am giving you an example of a statement. I am socially apt person to manage a conflicting situation. In this is a Likert scale, for example. So here I have strongly agree, undecided, or cannot say, disagree, strongly disagree. These are the 5 alternatives, 5 options, 5 points I have given. So here, if you see, if I say that I am not socially apt, I can come to disagree or strongly disagree. Suppose it's a 3 point scale. So agree, cannot say, or undecided, disagree. So here, if you are socially apt person, you will get agree. Because all the socially apt persons will say agree. So there will not be any discrimination. Somebody will be okay, so okay, they are socially okay, so they will also agree. Some of you are very good socially, very outgoing, going for helping everyone in any situation. They will also write agree. So that will not discriminate people in terms of various dimensions, various parameters. So better is if you go for higher level of point, higher level of grading, that will be good. Here it is bit okay, strongly agree and agree. We have two options. So either agree or strongly agree. Those who are strongly believe that they are socially apt person in some difficult situation, they will write. Otherwise, they will put agree. So again, it is okay, but still limited. If you go for again further divisions of the points, it will be more engaging for the participants to click on. This is another significant thing I have to explain. So you have any confusion regarding this? Now you can ask. If you have any confusions regarding this, you can ask. One more thing I have to tell you. Any confusion you can ask in between.
So for undergraduates, we are using a 5-point scale. This is not valid enough.
It is okay, it is valid, but research literature says that if they are okay with it, if they are read and write and better understand the things, better you increase the range. At least you go for 7 points. Better. 5 point is okay, but better to have more points. Then only you will get more clarity regarding such kind of things. And also another thing I have to tell you about administration. Why the quantitative researchers are not good? Because the administration is very poor. Poorly administered tools we can see. Poor administration. What do I mean by poor administration? Actually, in quantitative research, data collection is the challenging task. It is not to be managed by someone else. It is not to be when I am pregnant, I have a small baby, so please collect data for me. This is not an excuse for research. You can take your baby with you and collect the data wherever you go. That is the only solution. Otherwise, research will not happen. I am an officer. I have all the people around, so I can assign people. I don't want to go. It is not. You will not get the research. When I was in University of Kerala, I conducted a research with one of the government officers in Higher Secondary Directorate. He is good enough in research, but still I am giving you a trap that we got after collecting the data. We were doing a research on visual impairment. The person has helped me in data collection. I did all the other aspects. The research assistant was from University of Kerala. I managed all the writing and all, but he was helping as a co-supervisor, investigator for collecting the data. So we got the project, we decided to collect the data, we made the tool, we give it. So he told me that, okay, I have all the link with people. I will give the questionnaire, they will collect the data and send you the questionnaire. Okay, very good, he can manage it. He instructed all the cluster people, they did all the collection from every state, Kasaragod to Tirunelveli, all the data we got. It was about visual impairment. Those who are visually impaired people in higher secondary, we got complete data. Around 363 data we got. I hope it is 360. But when I started analyzing and scrutinizing the data, I got only 70. Out of 363, I got only 70 data. Because people didn't fill most of the questions. In initial part they filled, inside only 1 or 2 questions they filled. So this is not to be considered as a valid data. Out of 360 plus, I got only 70 data. 363 is a big number. Out of these 3, I got only the 70 as a valid data. So this is because of the issues of data collection. So how can I generalize out of the 363? I cannot speak because other data is not considered as valid. When the data is incomplete, I cannot take the data. That is the research. So it should be, the data should be complete in all sense, complete in all sense. When you are going to collect the data, whether it is a researcher, whether it is a teacher, even now we talk about the quality. My student, he is conducting a research on quality, NAC parameters. He is conducting, NAC is about quality. We are talking about institutional quality. He is doing postdoctoral research of ICSSR. When he wrote the research proposal, he was doing all the things and he took the best 10 universities with having A++ category as per the NAAC ranking. When he visited the universities, they rejected. No, we will not give you that. We are talking about quality. We are talking about promotion of research. But the universities itself, those who are tagged as A++, they didn't allow the student to collect the data. This is the situation that is happening in India. Once we don't have a culture of data, sharing of the data, basic data for research, then how can we improve the research? This is, I just shared. So data should be complete in all sense. So here, the tool should be relevant. One thing, tool should be very relevant. That is the first thing that we have to look into. The collection of data should have a uniform method, of collection of data. Some people say that something I gave to as a Google form, something I manage from the local people. This is not a proper collection of the data. If you are going to collect through Google form data collection is possible. Those who are very rigorous about this, who know rigorously about the process of research. Because you are a researcher, others are not a researcher. They don't know what is the value of research. They will think here and there and give you the data. But we are talking about the parameter based on that kind of research. You see what kind of data, filling of the data you have done when you got a research tool. You must have filled many Google forms. What way you were doing? Did you do everything properly? If you have not done properly, how can we expect it from a common man? Those who are not in the field of academics. It's very difficult. So at least we can try that. Whenever I get a Google form, either I deny, no, I will not, I don't have time. I will not do that. Because I need to invest time. Otherwise, you rigorously do that and complete it properly. Some people give a kind of benefit for us. If you fill the data, you will get 300, 200, 500. When I was a research scholar, I got 500 rupees plus some sketch pens as a token for filling a data. It was a 10-page or 15-page questionnaire, I don't remember exactly, 15-page I think. It was an international project, somebody from foreign country visited our university. They distributed data to people. Those who fill it, you will get money as well as some gift, some sketch pen or markers. That is a motivation. Then only people fill it properly. Such kind of things we can also implement. It's okay, no harm in that. Because our concern is data should be proper. If you have not filled the data, I will not give you anything. Then it's okay. That kind of motivation can be given. Otherwise, if you are going to collect the data, remain in the classroom for complete. If you are collecting from students. One-to-one give intervention. Sometimes when I collect the data, generally what I was doing, I use a projector, where a projector is. Otherwise, I will write on the blackboard or whiteboard the question. This is the meaning. It is in English, so this is the meaning. So you have to do this. There are 4 options or 5 options. You have to fix your option. There is no mark in this. Based on this, no judging is going to be done. No need of looking into others. What you feel you have to do. That way we have to give intervention. Today I am going to Marketplace, so can you collect my data? I have to go to GCP also again to collect the data government college. So by the time I collect the data, this is not actually the data collection. Further, if you are a teacher, if you get this kind of queries, we have to say no to this kind of things. This is not a data collection. If you are going to collect the data, come and collect the data by yourself. That should be the attitude. Then only you will get the collection data properly. Why I talk about all these? Because these are the determining factors of a quantitative research. Better data collection. In India, many of the psychological and educational researchers, they mention, because I am also one of the teachers in education, but I disagree to have more questions in a questionnaire. It is not required. When you look into some of the studies, some of the international journals you look into, how many of you have seen some of the tools in research? Tools in the research study. Have you seen tools? They will give the tools in the research. What is the nature of the tool? You have seen. Very concise. 5 questions to assess a tool. 10 questions to assess a tool having 4 or 5 dimensions. Only 10 questions. I was working on aggressive behavior for my PhD. So my questionnaire was having, I think, 45, 42 or 45 questions. I don't remember exactly. But when I compare it for the validation, I selected a scale that was having only 5 questions. So concise, very particular questions. Here we say that okay, you have to take it some half positive, half negative. You have to make it in another way. Then only people give that. No, now that is good one way, but we will not get that. Even we do all this. Better to concise the research too. The basic aspect you ask, make sure that all the dimensions that you need is to be discussed in that questionnaire or tool. That is the only thing. Better is that I suggest you to have very small tool, but even some of the teachers they don't prefer. When my scholar was also presenting a tool with the 20 items, they were not satisfied. Many of the teachers were not satisfied. So that should not happen. My concern, it is my concern. If you agree, you can agree. Otherwise, you can discuss with your supervisors. That is better. Very minimum questions. Very minimum questions. That is the thing. So you see any other aspect also you can see. Any other aspect also you can see that. Suppose regarding your ambition, what you are going to do, what will be in the next 5 years, what you are going to do, I'm going to ask you. So I should not give that much prompt or questions to get an answer for in next 5 years, what is your plan? We can be precise. We can give a question, what will be your plan? Give me your plan. Maybe financial, spiritual, personal, whatever it is, professional, give me some plan of yours. Very specific dimension. You don't want to give a detailed scale of 40 or 50 questions. It's not required. So that way you have to think, then data collection will also be easy, the research process will also be easy. Then make the ranges in a wide, like scaling, if you give it a detailed scaling, it will be good. This is the basic aspects of tool. Once you select a tool, these are the things. If you have any other questions? Any other question? Yes. Yes. Frameworks. Okay. Frameworks I talked about, if you are doing a content analysis. Content analysis is a technique. It's a method or technique of data collection. That suppose you are talking about how spirituality is incorporated in NCERT books, class 9 social sciences or class 7 social sciences. This is your research topic. So you are talking about spirituality and checking the social science textbook of class 7. Here you need a framework to analyze what are the content, what way you are going to analyze. Content analysis is a technique or method you are going to use for analyzing it implicitly or explicitly what is in the content. But the tool that you are going to use is a framework. For that you have to develop a plan, that we call it as a framework. Content analysis framework, document analysis framework, focus group discussion framework. Focus group discussion is a qualitative technique. It's a qualitative technique. But for that, what is your vehicle? That is a plan of force. That is what I mentioned here as framework. materials. Okay. You cannot go without any framework, without any idea, you cannot you cannot analyze the textbook. Again, what about in the evaluation? Evaluation activities at the end. Sometimes there will be questions, sometimes will be home assignments, home tasks. There will be field visits related to what is the school's premises, whatever it is related to. All these things you can check. This is what we call it as framework.
Can the researcher himself analyze this particular?
Yes. This will be validated through expert. Whether it is okay, I am going to analyze the unit, these 2 units of EVS with this. Aspects are covered. There are visibly I have found out 2 units. For example, unit 3 and 7 I have found out. Now these are my criteria. Is it okay? So you can give the expert, if you expert panel of experts, you can give the unit as well as your outline. Then they will check and correct it. Then it will be considered as validated. That way you have to develop. What comprehensive you go, that comprehensive you will get a result also.
To go for a range scale or something.
Yes. For checking its validity, you can go. Here you can, content-wise, you can take the content as such. Interaction and learning experiences, to what extent learning experiences, it is mentioned in the content. Any confusion? Yes.
Sir, I think the learning package for many.
Yes. For learning package also you can go for a framework. It is an expert validation framework. That is a bit different. You can give a validation framework for expert based on this. If you are going for that, for example, this is another thing. Suppose you have a package or intervention plan. Then here you should have a validation tool or validation framework. That should be different. Like you can give some aspects like to what extent it is apt, appropriate, is it appropriate, is it comprehensive, simple and clear, outcome based as per the syllabus, activity oriented, examples and quality of examples, teaching method suggested and its appropriate nature, whether it is apt or not, evaluation, feedback, material suggested. All these things you can give and give an outline. So you just give in the validation, you just give, please suggest the quality in terms of, you can give whether it is excellent to poor. That way you can give a range. Poor is you can give 1 and excellent you can give 9 or 10. So this way you can give a framework as much as possible. Interesting is also you can add interesting as per the considering the level of children. Interesting. this you can realize, make it. I am social. Extreme adjectives we give. I am not social or individualistic, like whatever it is. I prefer to be alone. I prefer to be in groups. These kind of many questions, extreme questions we are asking, and we make them realize, okay, this is the condition. So you have to think, because study says that this is so lots of these kind of for realizing people regarding some aspects. Suppose somebody is aggressive in the classroom, a group of students are making noises in the classroom. Simply take some list of adjectives and tell them, you just mark your position. So they will mark their position. So someone is aggressive, you mark the I am bad. They realize that I am bad. He is bad. So you say that this is not the way. So you can think. You yourself think first, then only the society will think. That way we can motivate them. In such kind of psychological situations, we use these kind of skills. So self-reflection, what is that? Through psychological scale, you will get something. At the same time, you can also do that. What is the benefit of this is, especially among students, once they write it, they will realize that I have written this, so I have to behave like this. So they will immediately or gradually they start correcting their behavior. So for that, we can, as a motivation, we can use these kind of skills. This is extreme adjectives, and in between we are giving the skills. That is semantic differential. Now, I can tell you one more thing that I have already mentioned. Levels of measurement. Any other question? Levels of measurement, you know the level of measurement. Yes, sir. We have nominal scale sometimes. Nominal scale. Nominal scale is simply for grouping we do. Nominal scale. That is, everyone know that. Some case nominal scale. How can you make achievement a nominal scale? Anyone? How can you make achievement a nominal scale? Achievement a nominal scale. Can you make achievement as a nominal scale? Achievement. What is that? Generally we take achievement marks. What is the scale? Achievement scale. Achievement, if you use test, I know. The level of measurement, what level it is, whether it is nominal, ordinal, interval or ratio. General achievement in a classroom. We take mark out of 50, out of 100. What is the scale in the level of measurement? Is it ordinal? Achievement generally we consider.
Sir, it's interval scale.
Then it will be
Nominal.
nominal. Yes, yes, she's right. Excellent. When we talk about pass or fail, this is nominal. We are talking about achievement, pass or fail. Two category only. Pass and fail. This is nominal. They got excellent, above average, average, satisfactory, poor. Suppose this is the thing, this is also nominal scale because we are simply categorizing without anything. This is, here there is a parameter scale. This we can call it as achievement based and nominal. If it is ordinal, ordinal is actually rank based. Ordinal is rank based. Rank has its significance. For example, NEET score. We are taking rank, NEET rank. We are taking NEET rank. It is ordinal. First rank is not equal to second rank. It is ordinal. Normally, the academic achievement in our classroom we take is as interval scale. As such marks we are taking out of 50. What is the mark? 50, 48, 49, 37. This way we are taking as such marks of people. This is what we call it as interval scale. As such we are taking, no classification. Original marks we are taking, that is interval type of scale. Same attribute can be either ordinal, nominal or interval. That is why I take these examples. achievement can be. In ordinal scale, sorry, in nominal scale, I can give you one more example. Simply we classify, for example, sex category wise we could take boy or girl. This is nominal. Boy is not better than girl. If you give 1 for boy or 2 for girls, doesn't mean that girls are having 2 or more benefit, or boys are 1, they are number 1. No. Simply for classification, sex category wise we do. Rural urban we do. Rural urban, locality of residence. This is also nominal scale. Caste wise, community wise, simply for numbering, we use nominal scale. Ordinal is having its own significance, rank is having significance. For example, in case of the GDP we are taking, happiness index we are taking. In many of the indices, Kerala gets number 1, health index. Kerala number 1 means Kerala is having its own rank. We cannot deny that Kerala and equal to someone else. We cannot change the position because index is index. So that is rank based. Interval scale as such what score they got, we are taking. It is interval. Interval scale. As such whatever score we got it, we take it, that is all interval type of scale. These are the 3 different types of scaling. Now I come to the ratio scale. You can also read it for getting clarity. Here we have given different examples for nominal, ordinal, interval, and academic achievement we took in 3 ways always. 3 ways. Parts of say it is nominal, excellent, above average, average kind of classification. That is also nominal. If it is ordinal, we have the rank position we take. Interval as such the score we take. Okay. These are the. Now we have ratio scale. In the ratio scale, we have a concept of absolute zero. Absolute zero. Sorry. Absolute zero. Absence of the thing. For example, I can give you, let us compare interval and ratio. Let us compare interval and ratio. So, if I take the achievement, in the achievement we may get 0. Achievement case we may get 0, but it may not be in an absolute 0. Suppose one student got 0 in mathematics. What is the meaning? What are the conditions? Can you say some conditions? I am taking as a gender male. He doesn't know anything. One possibility. Well, what is the other possibility? Louder. Not in that exam. Okay. You not okay with that exam. Absent. Okay. He was absent in the exam. Okay, test. Okay. Any other thing? I have mentioned this also. He was not okay with that exam. Another possibility in interval case, I am talking about interval case. He studied well all the units except 8 and 9, but the teacher asked questions all from 8 and 9. This is also a possibility. That is why it is not an absolute 0. If you are given from unit 1 to 7, he may get 50 out of 50, at least 30 out of 50. But teacher asked question, unit teacher mentioned 1 to 9. Teacher asked question from only 8, 10, 9. But the student studied. That is why this is not absolute zero. He is not 0% in mathematics. He knows many things. But we mentioned that he is 0. He is good for nothing. We are judging based on that specific examination. That is relative 0. So, his 0 in mathematics is relative 0. It is not absolute 0. It is relative 0. This is interval scale. Interval scale. This is interval scale. He is having conditions I have mentioned. That is why we talk about interval scale. In certain cases, how the ratio comes? Ratio. So, for example, intake of calories. Intake of calories. So, somebody take calorie 0, 1, 20. This way we have mentioned something out of 20. So, I got this score. Here it is 0 is absolute 0. He has taken no calories, so that means 0 is absolute 0. Nothing is taken. But in intelligence, in case of social skill, many of the psychological attributes, we cannot say that it is absolute 0. Even if there's just a person got 0 means, in that paper he got 0. If you give some other paper, he may get at least some score. So we cannot say that 0 is absolute in such cases. Intake of calories. Attendance in morning yoga class. Morning, we have class at 9. We made a class of yoga 8 a.m. So many people, they cannot turn up from the hostel. So their attendance is 0. Means 0. They are not attended. There is no relative. It is absolute 0. In such cases, such scales we call it as ratio scale. In such variables, all the psychological variables, we cannot say that it is ratio scale. Okay, so this is nominal, ordinal, interval ratio. In SPSS, we have 3 variables only. You must have seen nominal, ordinal, and the other is in SPSS. Have you seen? It is scale. They mentioned interval and ratio together as scale variable. Scale variable. So in all the further analysis, people take interval and ratio scores up together. All the parametric tests, it has further implications also. So you decide which is my scaling, whether it is nominal, ordinal, interval or ratio. That we have to clarify. So clarity is required in terms of what? Selection of tool. This is first thing required. Level of measurement. It is also required. Level of attributes measure. Attributes measurement. At which point you are going to take. All these you should have a clarity, then only you can select a proper scale. Before selecting, these are significant. Why we talk about the nominal, ordinal, interval ratio? There are some specific conditions. You must have learned about non-parametric and parametric test. This is having significance in. If you have non-parametric test, the measurement should be either nominal or ordinal. The other case, if it is parametric, there is a condition that your measurement should be interval or ratio. It is a requirement. Interval ratio should be interval or ratio. Then only you can go for a parametric test. Parametric test you must be knowing. Parametric test like t-test. If you have a t-test, if you have a nominal or ordinal data, you cannot go. You cannot go for a T test. You are going for an F test. One-way ANOVA. You cannot operate one-way ANOVA if the main dependent variable is measured either nominal or that you cannot go. It should be interval ratio. So it has implications in. So while developing a tool, all these things you have to take care of. Now further any questions you can ask. Then we will break for 5 minutes for tea. Then we will come to the development of tool. Any doubts you can? My request to all the research scholars, you have to go through whatever the departments have, you have to go through. Otherwise, some serious textbooks you have to find out. Diseases are not a reference points in certain cases. Because whatever they have made errors, you should not follow that errors as such. You take some standard textbooks as a reference point. Also go through some of the international journal articles, how they write the tools, how they mention some of the statistical indices of the tool, description of the tool. That is a requirement. Then only you can get a clear idea. You can quote that this I have taken from this journal, this I have taken from this chapter. Then you can have a clarity. Nobody will deny. If you quote why you have written this, you can say that I have a book, this book says, page number this says that, it is the way of development. Nobody can deny it, because it is a standard procedure. If you say that some teacher mentioned me like this, that is not a reference point. They will say that people can say anything, so you cannot follow that and this. They will tell this. So you should have a reference point. Reference is not a person, it should be a resource, that is a textbook either or a journal article. Okay, now if this is parametric, ANOVA, one-way ANOVA is parametric. We have non-parametric option also. If you are not in a position to do independent sample t-test, because it is a small sample or it is a criteria of non-parametric, you can go for a U-test, man by the U-test. In case of one-way ANOVA, we can go for H-test. Critical values ANOVA, H-test. So shall we stop for? Sir told me to tea break. So we can have a break of 10 minutes. No?
Hello.
സാറ്, സൈമൺ തക്കൽ സാർ തുടങ്ങി 18ഓളം എണ്ണപ്പെട്ട റിസോഴ്സ് പേഴ്സൺസ് നമ്മുടെ പ്രോഗ്രാമിൽ പങ്കെടുക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. റിസർച്ച് യൂസിങ് AI ടൂൾസ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ 2 മണിക്കൂറിന്റെ
Sir, the mic is mute.
നല്ല ഒരു പബ്ലിക്കേഷൻ ആണ്, ബ്യൂട്ടിഫുൾ ആയിട്ട് ഒരു പബ്ലിക്കേഷൻ തരുന്നുണ്ട്. സ്റ്റേറ്റ് റിസോഴ്സ് സെന്റർ ഡയറക്ടറുടെ മെസ്സേജ് ഉൾപ്പെടെയുള്ള ഒരു പബ്ലിക്കേഷൻ. അത് ഈ പബ്ലിക്കേഷൻ ആണ് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും അത് അയച്ചു തരും. നിങ്ങളുടെ പോർട്ട്ഫോളിയോയിൽ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് അത് ആഡ് ചെയ്യാം, നിങ്ങൾക്ക് അത് പ്രിന്റൗട്ട് എടുത്ത് ബുക്കായിട്ട് കൊണ്ടുപോവുകയും ചെയ്യാം. അത് കൂടാതെ നമ്മുടെ സെമിനാറിന് പ്രസന്റ് ചെയ്യുന്ന പേപ്പേഴ്സ് പ്ലേജിയറിസം ഫ്രീ ആക്കി ഫൈനൽ പേപ്പർ ആക്കാൻ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് 60 ഡേയ്സ് സമയം തരും. അത് കഴിഞ്ഞതിന് ശേഷം ISBN നമ്പറുള്ള ഒരു സൂപ്പർ ബുക്കായിട്ട് നമ്മുടെ പേപ്പേഴ്സ് ഇറങ്ങും, സൂപ്പർ ഒരു ബുക്കായിട്ട് പബ്ലിഷ് ചെയ്യും. പക്ഷെ അതിന് ഒരു എഡിറ്റോറിയൽ പേയ്മെന്റ് ഉണ്ട്. എമ്മഡൊക്കെ പഠിക്കുന്നവർക്കൊക്കെ വളരെ നോമിനൽ ആയിരിക്കും. ടീച്ചർ എഡ്യൂക്കേറ്റേഴ്സിനൊക്കെ കുറച്ചും കൂടെ കൂടിയ ഒരു എഡിറ്റോറിയൽ പേയ്മെന്റോട് കൂടെ നമ്മുടെ ബുക്കായിട്ട് പബ്ലിഷ് ചെയ്യും. എന്നും നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഓർമ്മയിൽ സൂക്ഷിക്കത്തക്ക രീതിയിലുള്ള ഒരു ബുക്കായിരിക്കും ഇത്. അതുകൊണ്ട് നിങ്ങൾ ചെയ്യേണ്ടത് എന്താണെന്ന് അറിയണം, നിങ്ങൾ രജിസ്റ്റർ ചെയ്യണ്ട.
Mic is mute, sir.
Factor analysis and structural equation modeling. This is the recent development, not very recent development, but this is the way people do research tool, develop research tool and validate. So the traditional way, generally how do we use tool development? How do we develop a tool? That we are going to discuss in next 1 hour. What we can do as a part of tool development. The other thing that the way of tool development through factor analysis and structural equation modeling, I'll give you a link of a video later so you can see that, because it requires the application structural equation modeling as either AMOS or JAMOV. These will help you. SPSS will help you for factor analysis. SPSS, AMOS or JAMOV. These will help you. People also do with RStudio, Smart PLS. You must have seen all these. You must have heard of all these software. So these are generally used for pattern analysis based tool development. In the quantitative papers, these days people use factor analysis based only. Now let us come to the basic tool development process, generally what we follow in the doctoral program. That is, one is identification of the variable or construct. What you are going to do. That is the main thing. Identification of variable or construct. What variable on which you are working? Suppose you have some variable, for example, environmental literacy. Suppose this is the variable that you have to develop a tool on. Environmental literacy. So you have to take the definition, you have to define operationally to the context of your study. In the context of your study, considering the population sample where you conduct the study, you have to define it operationally. That is the main thing. So here you need intensive review of literature, review of related studies you have to do intensively. Identify the theories that generally we have to do. Compare, match, and select the appropriate dimension. This is a rigorous task we have to do. This also helps you to identify which type of tool is apt for you. Actually, people take review as a silly exercise, but in research, review is the way or the method or what are the process that has very rigorous significance. Review is the best or the most significant item in a research process. Review. What will give review? Review. People say that any 40 reviews, 50 reviews you write. It is not about 50 or 40. Review should be periodical review. What is after 2010 or after Corona, COVID-19? What are the developments in mental health, if it is mental health? Or you are talking about environmental literacy. So after a specific any conclave or any specific decision from United Nations or so, after that specific turning point, what are the studies carried out? Such kind of things you have to take. It is not a matter regarding the number. Some people say review, how much review is required. It is not a significant question. It's a question that from where you are taking the review. It is 2000 onwards, 2010 onwards, sometimes 2020 onwards. That way you have to take the review. Periodic based. So now I suggest my students that you take after 2020 only. If you are not getting good number, you can go for the other. Many people don't know from where I search the review. That is very significant. You should have, every research scholar should have a kind of databases, corpus, how to search in Scopus. Boolean operators, you must be knowing Boolean operators and searching, advanced searching. That you should understand initially. Scopus is one of the databases. Web of Sciences is a database from where we get a review. IEEE is a database. PubMed is a database. Google Scholar is a database. From all these, you can take the reviews. Either you can stick on to one, or you can take all these databases. Sometimes there will be overlapping. Because these days, lots of AI tools available to segregate and identify review. It's very easy. Review of literature is very easy these days. In all the databases, you can get the basic review. So you can use any one or multiple choices. Along with, you can also see the unpublished resources. These days, nobody will go for unpublished resources like dissertations, project, unpublished diseases. People don't go these days because everything is online available. Even in Shodhkarma, we have Indian research dissertations, PhD theses. So we can go for this. Unpublished also we can go for, but you should have, what is your source of review? You should have an answer. What is my source of review? Yes, my source is Scopus. I have gone Scopus after 2020. You should have an answer. I have Web of Science. I have looked into Web of Science. Then only you can say that certain people say that no study is carried out. How can you say that no study is carried out in this area? So I selected this. You can say some comments from the research scholars. There is no studies. You can say that I have gone through all the studies of Web of Science and Scopus. I couldn't find any study related to that specific in the cultural context of India or in South Indian context. I could not find any study that is published in Scopus or Web of Science journals. That way we should sell. You cannot find out. Based on your experience, you search for the database and you didn't find. So this is the searching parameters. You can use review from all these databases. Okay. Now what should be done? Once you go the review, what will review will give? What will be given? What will you get? Give you. Review, what will review give you? One is trends in research. What are the trends in research? These days, AI is a trend. Student interaction is a trend. Online fatigue is a trend. There are something. Zoom fatigue is a trend. It's a trend research. Emotional intelligence is also a trend these days. All the time it is. Motivation is a trend. Academic engagement in the post-COVID is a trend. So some trend you will get from the research literature. Second thing, how to structure objectives and research question. How to write research question or objectives. This you will get an idea from the review. You don't want to read entire the document from abstract till the references. Ending with Z. No, it's not required. You have to do all these aspects, structure, objectives, research questions and all. Similarly, tools. It is one of the very significant thing, very important thing. You will get an idea what are the tools, whether they use the scale, inventory. You have to code. Somebody told you that no, scale is not okay. So you can code, okay, this study they use the scale. I have 10 studies, all of them use the scale. Then why can't I use? You can argue with people. You can argue with the research team. It is not my decision. I have gone to the review. In the review, I could find 10 studies, they used scale to assess it. Even though it is a scale, I got this. So I can also use. There is no harm in why you are insisting me. You can also argue such things. But you should have an evidence. So that you will get. Tool, what tool they used. They will also give you the dimensions about use. Dimensions. Also the length of the tool, whether it is 5 point, 7 point or 9 point. This will also be given from the getting from the tools. About the possible validity and reliability measures. Traditionally, we go for the split half reliability, test retest reliability, everything we go for. But internationally, when you go to any quantitative study, they will see only one. Can you say what is generally they use? Regarding the reliability, it is Cronbach alpha. Cronbach's alpha. This is the only reliability they use. They will not mention anything about other reliability. Only Cronbach's alpha they write. So you will get an idea about how many statements are there, what is the way of writing the statement. Everything you will get an idea from the review. So in rigorously you look into all these aspects to find out review. So this is very significant aspects about the. I'm just taking this to. Anything else you have to add? Similarly, the statistical aspects. Okay. Similarly, we will get an idea about what are the statistical applications generally people use. These are the things that we will get from review. Review is that significant to understand. So all the answers to your problems you will get from the rigorous review process. So you have to review it. So from the review, the first stage is identifying the variables and getting the dimension. This is the first stage of tool development. For that, we have to have the intensive review process. Got it? Now again, after the review process, what is the next requirement? After the review, you will get the things. Now, second stage is you have to write the statements of your tool, considering the nature. Or we can say second, okay, second I am just writing is a different one. Second is decide upon which tool you are going to adopt, you are going to use or adopt. That is also another thing. You decide which tool is. Third is tools measure, whether it is ordinal, nominal or interval. What way I have to use it. Its dimension you have to find out. For all these, you should consult rigorously with experts. Otherwise, later stage you will be in trouble. Otherwise, you will be in trouble in later stage. So, once they agree, then only you can go for. Otherwise, later we will have some issues. Now you are okay. Now you decided for environmental literacy. I talk about it is an example I have here. Environmental literacy. Environmental literacy. So I mentioned this is the literacy test I used. I selected as an example. Now you can go for writing the statement. As per the dimensions you can write. For that also previous tools you can have a look into. Previous tool, based on the previous tool you can use. Based on previous tools. Dimensions. Factors. Criteria. Suppose you are talking about emotional intelligence, so characteristics of an emotionally intelligent person, that will help you to design a statement. All these things you have to look into while writing the statement. As per the traditional, I have mentioned Develis and all, they have mentioned that it should be 3 times. Question number should be 3 times of the intended number of the items in your final scale. For example, I need approximately 10 statements in my scale. I need to draft 30 statements. It is not required as such, but theory says that. Theoretically, some of the authors mention that it should be 3 times of the final decision about your number. This is one thing. Now you are writing the statements according to the parameters, you are deciding the instructions and all. You can also write the instructions and guidelines. while applying for the participants. Now another thing is expert opinion, expert judgment. This is very significant. Expert judgment is very significant. Sometimes people do and they may not be able to write in the business. That will be a question again further. So what you can do is you make a list of people, those who are potential experts. Potential expert. Expertise should not be based on those who are in powerful positions. That should not be required. Those who are able to complete it in a rigorous manner. Even teachers of schools, if it is student-oriented teachers of schools, they are the expert. Research associates, those are the researchers. They are the things. Research scholars, they can also be a part. And also expert from the field. Suppose it is a psychological, so definitely you have to give to some people from the field of psychology or educational psychology. Those who are teaching in universities or colleges, you can take it. These are the panel of experts. You can make a panel and distribute the questions, the tool, draft tool, and directions along with a write-up. What you are going to draft, what you are going to make. This should be very clear, then only they can judge upon your dimension. Otherwise, if you, whatever the dimensions you have, you may have your own justification why you have selected. You are researching, it is your criteria, not the criteria of the expert. They must have expertise in the area, but you are researching on specific criteria, so you should mention that criteria. So this is the specific thing regarding expert. Here also you can give a expert judgment framework. You can give a framework either or a scale to assess it. Sometimes, generally, earlier I followed like this. Suppose I'm just giving a questionnaire. Okay, this is the serial number of the question. This is items in the question. This is edit or modify, delete, retain. This way we can give to the expert. This way a table we can give to the expert so that they can give a replay based on that. So question number 1 will be so we have a question here as an item. Whatever it is. Whatever related to environmental, I just made some statement. So this way they tell them to tick in which dimension. If it is modification, you can write give in writing. Separately we have to give it in writing. So they should get the correct answer. They should get the correct guidelines regarding that. This way we have to give. This way we can give. Along with, you can also give another rating scale maybe regarding some of the aspects, whether it is appropriate, whether it is up to the level of students. Components are okay, components are taken care of, included properly, items are sufficient. Such kind of things also you can, as per the convenience, as per your innovation, you can be such kind of comments as separate also. There is no hard and fast rule in that. This is initially regarding writing your items, and this is initial analysis of judgment from the expert. Once it is done, you can show, because all the 10 experts may not be giving you correct guideline, but at least a few, at least 4 or 5 will give correct opinion regarding that. That is enough for you because you already developed it with the help of the supervisor. So that is one way it is validated. But for further clarification, you can a list of the expert also you can keep it at the end of your thesis. Give the list of expert with their designation. This is the possible way of doing initial validation, initial process. Now, after the expert opinion, definitely there will be additions and deletions. So you are modifying, modification of tool. Modification, definitely it will be modified because all the judgment of the experts may not be the correct explanation for you. So whether it is apt for you, accordingly you take. Doesn't mean that everything to be taken. You make a criteria, suppose one or two people or all the people mention that it should be deleted. So please delete it. So certain criteria you can develop to retain and delete or modify. Accordingly, later once you modify, you can see that all dimensions are taken care of, included, incorporated, that you have to look into. All the dimensions are properly managed or included in the tool after modification, that you have to look into. Sometimes all the questions of one dimension will be deleted, so it will be trouble for you. So you have to add yourself. Such kind of things you can do. Next is the piloting in a sample. This is very crucial thing, especially when you develop a test or questionnaire or scale, especially in the case of scale. It should be in a large sample. Earlier I was not having an impression regarding that. Later, when I carried out, when I conduct research of my students of PhD, we did, at least there are studies says that minimum acceptable is 300 samples for piloting. Earlier when I was doing the research, I conducted among 100 samples only. So it is not okay to conduct in a minimum number. It should be maximum. It should be maximum large sample you should use. 300 sample. This is not my opinion. It is in different research papers I have seen. You can also look into some of the research papers. They mention some studies. It is okay. It is good. 200 is also okay, but not up to the level. 400 is very good. I am talking about piloting. So my student, one Dinesh and Selvamari, Daliko also, they have done 300 plus in their piloting. For one of my students, he conducted around 400 in the piloting, but his final that sample was only 272 or something like that. It was less final sample, but piloting sample should be more. This is, you can refer to some research journal. Now even you now Google it, you can get some journals mentioning the number for structuring a tool, pilot study. You can write, you will get an idea. Many of the researchers in management and psychology, they mention these kind of things. There are some references also you can see. After this you can go for, this is also sampling should be representative. This sampling should be representative sample. Representative sample, I mean, suppose you are going to conduct a study among government schools, better to take the sample of these 300 also from government schools. If you are going to conduct, it should not be a small section, it should be the representation of your final population. That is the better thing regarding piloting. Now after that, you have to analyze the data. Analyze the data, including item analysis. In the traditional way, we use item analysis of a scale. If I talk about a scale, for example, In the item analysis, how do we analyze item analysis or a scale or inventory? Scale generally we go for items and make a group of high and low. Make a group of high and low based on each item. I'll give you a sample later, then you will get an idea. A group of, suppose here also you have to take 27%, 27% of the total sample as high and low groups. After arranging in ascending order. After making it in ascending order. After arranging in ascending order. Okay. You will have confusion, I'll tell you again. See, suppose you have 300 or 100, 100 is your n. Now we have 300. So what will be 300 is the sample. So after collecting the data, you count it, total the score, then make it in magnitude, in order, make it in order, as per either ascending or descending. Higher 27% take as high group and bottom 27% as low group. This is the requirement. Then both the groups you are comparing. Comparing both the groups in terms of each statement. Each statement we have to compare based on the item analysis. So here, since it is a large sample, we go for independent sample t-test. Independent sample t-test we use. This is the thing. So suppose 300, what is the 300, it is 70. So what will be the number in high and low group? 81, huh? 27% of 300. 81. 81 in high group and 81 in low group you are taking. Both the groups will be compared. High and low group will be compared. Each statement, how many statements you have? All the statements you have to compare based on the high group and low group. So we will have score like this. So if I take an Excel sheet, suppose this is an Excel sheet, so you have to write first group. So first 81 will be high group, so you mention as 1. First 81 will go, then again you go for 2, group B. The other. For every statement, what is their answer? So you have to write statement 1, statement 2, statement 3, like all the statements you have to. Suppose you have 30 statement, so you will go like this. All the statements you have to write. And for the first student, what is the cell? Maybe 2, he has got 2 here, the other person has got 3, like all the things like this way you have to type. All the individual entries you have to keep. Then we go for a t-test between first group and second group, high group and low group. That is for the. Any confusion you can ask now. You must have some issues. This is, I am talking about scaling. If it is a test, achievement test like test or situation test, skill test. You have to do this way, but you can use difficulty index and discriminating index, discriminating power or discriminating index. Difficulty discriminating index generally we use for test and questionnaire. We can use discriminating index and difficulty index. Generally, we must be knowing that in the B.Ed we have a concern regarding that. I'll share a document regarding that also. We have done. We have published a tool also. Regarding that, I will tell you how to. I'll give you a reference. Discriminating index and difficulty index. This we have to calculate for every statement of high group and low group. We will take and accordingly the plan. Yes.
We have seen that the T test and there is another topic is the T value. We go for the Edwards T value. So in what context is that used?
Edward T value. Okay, that I'll tell you. Any other question? Instead of T, you just mentioned. Yeah. Any other question? The process. You got the process.
One more thing, sir. So for the piloting, sir has mentioned that we have taken a sample of 300.
300.
So on what criteria? Like, isn't it based on the population? For example, in certain studies we go for purposive sampling.
Yes.
For example, special needs children
Yeah.
and all that. So in that case, how do you come
Now, if you are validating, this is the requirement. For a better number of sample, if you go for validating, it is required. In certain cases, you may not be having a time for validation. In a study where you use a purposive sample, a small sample, you may not get time for validation. Then without validation also you can go in such cases. But it's authenticity is a question again. Whether your tool is further, we can use the tool or not, that is a question. Without validation also you can use the tool. But if you say that this is validated and I have to use it for further, I have to recommend for the other people, then definitely you have to validate it with a large sample.
Because even in the department also, we have seen two theses where the pilot study has been conducted in 100.
Yes. I also did on my 100 when I was a PhD student, but I was not having a clarity regarding
Is
it.
it a matter of question or is it wrong if we have followed that?
It is not wrong as such, but now these days, now all the advanced statistical books mention that 300 is recommended as good. Now, these days, earlier it was not that way considered. In devices also you can see 100 is also okay. It is okay, 100 is also okay, but for more clarity, if you are using it for further analysis, you can recommend the tool for further. If you take a tool of other researchers, you should find that this is standardized or validated on a large sample. That is it. Yes. For experimental also, if you say that you are validating a tool, definitely you have to do this exercise. This is a prior exercise actually. Experimental is your concern, but if you are not using an already available tool, you have to do all these exercises initially.
Also regarding the number of items,
Yeah, number of items, there is no hard and fast rule, but in India, many of the people say that there should be more number of items, minimum 30 is required. But international tools, some of the tools we can find tools with 5 items also.
because within my experience, I have a test in my study.
Yeah.
So in this, I need a final test. I need around 30 to 40. So I first went for a draft of 90.
90, yeah.
And when I gave it for validation, one of the experts they questioned like, how can we? It is too much. It's
Too
not
much.
feasible. So in that case, they had asked me to cut it short, and I had to make 2-3 drafts and
Yes,
let's
yes.
go for the validation. So how far is it feasible?
No, as per my concern, even in pilot study, there should not be more than 30 or more than 40. This is my concern, but many of the teachers say that it should be. In India, earlier also many of the researchers, they mentioned that it is required. It should be a big number. Otherwise, we will not get the data. But the data quality depends upon if the tool is the number is very less, then quality will be more. That is what I believe. Because if you get a 5 question, it is easy to comprehend and give the answer. If it is 30, 40, so we will be bored to give answers. We will not be interested in giving answers. That is one way. But many of the Indian researchers say that it is needed more in number. But when I in Jamia Millia Islamia, I have seen that in psychology also they hold very small number. And sometimes they don't suggest to develop a scale. Because we know that India is not research friendly as such. If you go to Delhi schools, you will not get the data because it is required the permission from Directorate of Education first. If you give an approval now, it may take 1 year to get approval. Sometimes they will not be answering. When I was a researcher, I gave permission for publication. I visited the office, but I didn't get any reply. Finally, I managed with the non-students, non-teachers. They only helped me to get the data. Otherwise, they don't allow without the permission of the Directorate of Education. So you have to write to them through proper channel, attendee. Then they will scrutinize your questionnaire. Sometimes they will say that no, it is not possible. One student in IGNOU, she was doing psychology project under my supervision. For a grade, she took police officers. So she approached the MSP, Malabar Special Police. She approached and they asked for the questionnaire. After seeing the questionnaire, no, we will not allow you. The proposal is approved, she has to collect the data. So that is actually the significant thing. We don't have a research culture. They find it that something is losing. Their information will be used for some other purpose. Actually, these are psychological things. We are not talking about any other aspects or fund or anything. But they are afraid of giving such kind of information. Even I mentioned some of the, my student is working on quality assurance. NAC is working on NAC, but the NAC A++ graded institutions, universities are not ready to give the answer. But why they are getting A++? Because of the research and quality. But they are not ready to conduct a research on their institution. These are the things actually what we have. So better in psychology department of Jamia Millia Islamia, they prefer they tell all the students to take the already existing scale only. No need of preparing because it is not possible. So already approved scales by international expert, they will validate with an expert opinion that it is fit for the cultural context of India. Then we can use it. That is a possibility. But in most of our universities, they will not allow. Oh, it is a foreign tool. How can you use it? What is the guarantee? Such kind of questions people ask. If it is an approved scale, especially published in a reputed journal, we can use it. Because without quality, they will not publish. But that practice is not there. That is the main thing. Any other question? That depends upon your objectives and possibility of getting sample. For example, if you suppose you are conducting in Mahathir Village Training College and another training college also experiment. So how can you I'm just giving you my opinion. Okay. Yeah, experimental pilot study you are asking. Yes.
So in that case, we can conduct the pilot study also in exam.
Yes, you can. So pilot study means pilot study for not for developing your test. Pilot study for implementing your or testing your research intervention. You can go for a small sample, 5 students also. For testing the intervention. For testing your validating your tool, it requires a big sample. Yes, comparative study is possible. Experimental. Yes. Sample actually there are some formula also for sampling. You must have used G power. G power is a small. You must have used na G power. Any of you used G power? G power is a small what we call it application. You can also install and you can use what is your statistics you are going to use. What is the minimum sample? They will tell you. One of my students used it and she has also written in the thesis. You can use that also. Otherwise, you can decide based on the population. If it better is lab sample, but lab sample is manageable. If it is a uniform sample, like school students of Kerala, there is no need of very big sample. 400, 500 is okay. But if it is a heterogeneous sample, then you may not have to take many more samples.
That is for the survey.
Yes. It is up to the convenience. Whether it is possible, then you can go for it. Yeah, I will complete it.
Because that's for the survey.
Yes, yes, survey.
Experimental is not.
Experimental better is to conduct experiment. You need lots of other parameters to fulfill. So big sample will be a trouble for you. It is not possible to conduct a research on a big sample. So increasing sample will not be giving you quality research. So better to concise the sample into minimum. And in our cases, those who are doing experiment, those who have done experiment, you can see that experimental situation is very difficult in the context of Kerala schools. It is very difficult. You cannot give justice to the experiment. Some people, even I know that, some people are taking more periods for experiment and less period for the control group. It is not at all good. Equal weightage you have to give. Then only you can say that you are actively participated in both the experiment, both the intervention. For control group, they finish it in 1 or 2 days. For the experiment, they took 1 week or 2 weeks. You cannot justify that. It should be equal in size, equal in number. Size means quality of your instruction should be equal. Otherwise, it will be difficult. And some people say that it is activity oriented. They will not mention anything about the lesson transcript, what they have done, what they are doing. Nothing will be mentioned. That is also not good. You should follow the exact pattern of the research, the pattern of the intervention in both the cases. It should be rich in both the cases. The lesson transcript should be rich enough in both the cases to give the idea.
If an experiment is conducted, the same intervention is being conducted in a sample which is in an urban and the same experiment is parallelly conducted in a rural area. It is always considered as two group only, right?
Yes, yes.
It can never be a single group.
Yes, yes. Never be a single group. And conducting experiments, same experiment in 2 different classes is also lots of questions. How do you validate it? If your sample is 80, so you cannot conduct 80, especially with a big experiment, technology models or any other models. It is all the models or new approaches, they require a less number of students. Huh? So if you are dividing people into 2 different classes, it is very difficult. Conduct.
As I said, can be compared that because what I feel there will be always a bias.
Yes, yes.
In this condition, what I just mentioned, it was urban and rural.
Yes.
An experiment is being conducted in first in the urban and next after that it is in the rural. And this is considered as a 2 groups.
Yes, compare.
Can be like an objective to compare this.
Yes, yes. That you can find. And some otherwise, if you have 2 different groups, you have to equalize. Equalizing is also possible in certain cases. You can convert it to standard score. If 2 groups are different but same experiment, you can make it to standard score. Based on the mean and standard deviation, you make it to standard score.
So can you give clarity on this? Is it based on the sample?
Z score, we convert it to Z score. Based on the mean of the specific group, we can equalize using standard score. Z score, you can use it. Suppose you have 2 experiments. The same experiment is conducted in 2 classrooms, you can go for standardizing, converting it to standard score and then you use it as a change score.
So what about the sample? Should it be the same in both the? What about the sample? The sample 1 and 2. If like if the first.
No, that is up to you. Whatever sample you have, accordingly you
Like
do.
in the first one, I have got a sample of 55. But in the second institution, I have got only a sample of 40.
No issue, sir. If you are equalizing, it is not an issue. Standardizing. You were talking something, a sample, huh? Sample actually what sampling technique you take. Better if you take the random sampling condition is that you should have a list of students. Many people write the simple random sampling and stratified random sampling, but they don't know that actually what the way of sampling. If somebody writes that I have used simple random sampling, the first question should be, what is the total number? They don't know what is the total number. If you don't know the total number of the population, you cannot take the simple random and stratified random or proportionate sampling. You cannot take. Suppose I took Thiruvananthapuram district, I took a stratified random of boys and girls. How many boys are available in Thiruvananthapuram? How many girls are available in Thiruvananthapuram? You should take it. You should have a clarity regarding that. Otherwise, you cannot take. Going to some schools and mentioning that it is random sample, it is not possible. If you are taking a simple random sample from Thiruvananthapuram district, that means all the students 1 to 20,000 or 25,000, you should have a complete list. Take randomly one student from Mathyophilus or the school of Mathyophilus, Sarvodaya school. The other is from Taikad government school. The other student is from Kanjiranpuram. So that way you have to go here and collect the data. That is simple random sample. Not to go at class and take the sample is not simple random. Either you go for a cluster sampling. A school is taken as a cluster. Cluster sampling. For example, if this is a survey study, Thiruvananthapuram government schools are the total, you delimited to government school population, some 8th standard. So all the 8th standard students of government schools of Thiruvananthapuram having higher secondary is your population now. Among the, then you list out how many schools. Suppose you got 25 schools having higher secondary and government school and 8th standard. Then out of these 25 you select any 10 randomly. Go to that school and take all the 8th standard students. Then it is cluster sample. You have made schools as a cluster. Complete students of the specific cluster school you take. That way it is possible. Otherwise, simple and stratified and proportionate, this is not possible in an educational context. Otherwise, as per the NSSO data, you must have seen, you go to the NSSO, National Sample Survey Organization, how they sample it. They have very specific criteria for selecting sample. Suppose if you are moving to a bus, you just get down a specific station, take the 4th house. If the 4th house is locked, come back and take this way. Very specifically, they have mentioned the sampling. That is actually randomness. That we are not following. Sometimes we talk about the Bowell method of random sampling. Suppose 100 students are there. You take one. You cannot take the other also next time. You put the one again inside. Then only the complete randomness you can ensure. Suppose 100 students are in the bowl. Their names. You select one. 10 you have to take. Next second you cannot take. You put the one again. Then take the second. Again put. Then take the third. Then only complete random. Otherwise you are taking again from 99 only. Not from 100. That way we have to particularly focus on the randomness if it is random. That is very difficult to take sample. In certain medical cases, scientific cases, we go for such kind of sampling because their number is limited. In the school cases, better is go for a cluster sample. That is the better. Otherwise, take everything and then you decide which kind of data you need. Any other questions? Better than any standard format, whether it is traditional or approved like factor analysis based, you decide any one that is possible to develop a tool. That is the request. So now we are talking about the analysis of data and item analysis. After this, tool will be final. Yes. That I will tell you later. I have to refer to, I will tell you. After lunch, I will tell you. Now 10. Next is, now you have a final tool. This is also not final. Now we have to decide upon the validity and reliability. Some of the validity measures I will show you. I will tell you. I'll give you some of the validity and reliability measure. Whether it is construct validity, concurrent validity, predictive validity, what possible validity you can use, you can go for. Better is content validity. We can easily. Content validity ratio is the content validity ratio. You can find out, and accordingly for this, again you have to give the same to another group of experts, not the expert opinion that we got from the previous tool finalization. This is another fresh group of experts, panel of experts. It may be same, but you have to give it again. The exercise should be done again. Panel of experts. Maybe same group, but you have to give it again the tool. They will decide now it is okay or not. It is appropriate or not. That way we can finalize the validity of this content validity, and they will also tell you face validity, whether it is okay. Its language, expressions, style, form of response, everything is number of scaling, like is it 5 point, 7 point, which is appropriate or not. Language is clear. All these things they will talk about. They will give you clarity, that is face validity. Then other validity, I will give you a PowerPoint. They will explain through a PowerPoint later. Now coming to the reliability. Reliability, we have internal and external reliability process. Internal reliability, we have Cronbach alpha and split half. Split half, you have mentioned split half. Half of the tool, there are two methods. First half and first and second half. Tool you divide first and second half, that everyone will do. Then both the score will be correlated. That is split half reliability. Cronbach alpha is a very large formula, but we can use through any application. SPSS, Jamovi, they will give you Cronbach alpha easy. Then external we have test retest reliability. Test retest reliability. This is generally first half and second half, either this or odd and even. This is also a model of split half reliability. All the odd items will be counted together, all the even items will be counted together, then we will go for a correlation. Test retest reliability. Test retest reliability, generally we take minimum 15 days gap. Minimum 15 days gap to conduct the test again. First, now you conduct the test again after 15 days or more, you conduct the test again with the same group and give it. Another is parallel form. You have a tool, same kind of tool you prepare another and give both the tools to the same students. That is also parallel form. That is known as parallel form. This is also a kind of reliability. Split half reliability. In split half reliability, if the test is very short, then we go for a Coder-Richardson formula to make it. Coder-Richardson. These are the technical things these days. Nobody uses the kind of analysis using manual. So everyone go for a Coder-Richardson formula. Everybody go for a software. Even Excel is also wonderful to analyze the reliability. There are many AI tools, they will also give you the reliability. Even ChatGPT, if you give the score, you will also get the reliability. ChatGPT is good for, not for content writing, it is good for analysis, data analysis. I have not used it, but it is good for, you can try it. Later when people interact in the conference also, you can ask for to what extent we can use for data analysis. Now see, validity and reliability is over, then we need norms development. For validity and reliability, you need a fresh sample. You need again fresh sample for validity and reliability. You need new sample for that. You cannot take the previous pilot study sample for validity and reliability. Again, you have to collect the data. Then you can finalize your research tool and publish it. If you are that focused, then only you can go for all this. Otherwise, if available tools are there, you can use the available tools, if it is okay for your context. Norms development, again you need to conduct a study. On a small sample, even 100 is also okay. There is no hard and fast rule, I have not seen anywhere. So you can take either a standard score, we call it as Z-score. Z-score you can make Z-score, or qualitative norms people do, qualitative norms. How qualitative norms we will do? Arithmetic mean and standard deviation. We find out, and based on that we can make a group of people. For example, you need a criteria like above average or excellent. For example, environmental literacy excellent, average, below average. This is the group you have to make. I am talking about qualitative norms. You can take like arithmetic mean plus standard deviation, the score and above. You can take it. Below average, arithmetic mean minus standard deviation and below. Between these four, A and B, you can take it. This is for A. This is between A and C. This way you can take. If you need more groups, then we can take 2 standard deviation, 3 standard deviation, like if you need more groups. Suppose you have to make further groups, then you can make 2 standard deviation. Arithmetic mean plus 2 standard deviation, arithmetic mean minus 2 standard deviation. That way. Above you need one more group. So arithmetic mean plus 2 standard. These are some of the ways people arithmetic mean minus 2 standard deviation. This way, if you need to have more groups. These are some of the ways we use scoring. Now your tool is ready for collecting the data. Now only you are ready for collecting that. These much exercises you have to do. Generally we take first 2 years for doing all these exercises. Initially you have to do the review, then develop the tool. This is the exercise you have to do. Now only your tool is ready for final data collection. Through all these, we have mentioned 12 steps. Through all these steps you have to go through. Now this is ready for data collection. Also you can publish your tool if it is okay. You can publish with organizations like National Psychological Corporation, Psychom Services. There are many in India. International I don't have a clarity because this NPC and our National Psychological Corporation publishes. My students have published almost 5 NPC and 3 to 4. Alina is has also published with Psychom Services. Some rubrics. So you can, if you rigorously do that, you can get it published. Psychom Services will not pay you. Then Prasad Psychom Services, that is also Prasad. Something I don't remember exactly. The NPC you will get money also. You will get 5,000 or so. They will give you. Once you give the tool, you will get the tool back. The tool is actually a book with ISBN you will get. Even though it is a small booklet, it is a book. It is published as a book. Maybe 20 pages, but you will get a book. And also, NPC give you 5,000 or so. You will get. They will send it for 2,000 or 3,000 for everyone, but you will get as an author a limited amount. So you can try, if you do all these rigorous exercise, they will review it. If they approve it, you will get the publication. This is the idea of tool development. Now I'll share you one of the tools we have published, and I can tell you that it's not completely professional because some what we call it as some of the, especially in the case of the sampling, it is not up to the level. We have used it 120, 130, or 100 like. So that is not okay now. Now people need more sample for pilot study. We used between 100 and 130 sample on different stages we use. Stages of development. The complete process, those who are interested in publication, it will be a guide for you. I will give you the sample. Any questions now? We can have a question. This is the comprehensive process of tool development. Along with this, you refer to any standard textbooks. Anastasi, Grigori, this will give you some idea. The Welles book will be giving. So in some of the, I don't have it right now. Earlier I was having, it is lost from my mobile. It is available online. Somewhere you can search. Tool Development by De Welles. It is a wonderful book. He mentions everything in a systematic manner regarding the development. For my PhD, I use that as a reference because complete sources we have. Any questions in the process, you please ask. Now in the afternoon, I will tell you, after lunch I will tell you initially the aspects like validity and reliability. I have a small PPT quickly I will mention, then we will go to publication aspects and funding aspects. Any questions? Now we can try with these. Later also, if you are a research scholar, your research is also moving one side, the other side you can also develop it. For publication, that is also possible. Yes, these days we use factor analysis only. Factor analysis, suppose if your dimensions are not pre-decided, or you can again doubtful about. There are two factor analysis methods. Factor analysis is actually factor reduction. There are two things. We have confirmatory factor analysis, and another is exploratory factor analysis. In the confirmatory factor analysis, if it is already based on any theory developed by someone, you have decided some factors advanced, then you check it whether it is as such. Then generally we go for confirmatory factor analysis. If it is exploratory, you have not decided what are the factors of my scale. It is not decided. So factor analysis will give you, based on your dimensions, based on your questions, items, they will give you the possible factors. Then based on that factors, you can name the factors. Different factors. How many dimensions you can fix the factors sometimes. You can fix the factors into 4 or 5. Either you can fix or you can give the SPSS to fix them, or whatever the software, they will fix the factors according to the available metrics. Then you can name the factor. You can name the factors. Because when I was doing my PhD, one of my variable was social intelligence. So I have used some Tony Buzan. There was limited Tony Buzan and Goldman. These were the books available at that time. I purchased these books, and based on that I made some questions. Then I go for an exploratory factor analysis. After that I got some factors because I have not decided in advance the factors. So through SPSS I did. Through SPSS I got 4 factors. SPSS gave me 4 factors. I check the statements. Then named the factor. So for my specific study, I have renamed my factors. So it may be something related to the previous theories, or you can develop your own. So I have developed the self-awareness was theory. So I made some changes and I made it. Then social awareness was the other theory. So that I made. Then social input, I just make it as a different. Then empathetic cooperation. These are the, I have made these 4 dimensions. This something was empathy was a dimension, social awareness was a dimension mentioned in some other studies, but I made based on the available metrics given by the software, I named into these few dimensions. It is up to the researcher that you can later people quote your, if you publish it, people started quoting that as per this person, these are the dimensions. That way we are getting the dimensions. Various people use various dimensions because as per their study, what dimension they got, that they make it as a dimension. Actually, we don't want to follow exactly the dimensions of someone, because if you follow the dimensions of someone, you will not be contributing. If you take the, if you make your own dimension, others can also quote you if you publish. So here, whenever you are putting for factor analysis, so minimum, again it is also mentioned, you can Google it, minimum 300 is required, minimum for factor analysis. Otherwise it will not be okay to get a proper factor analysis. 300 sample, I am talking about 300 sample. Yes. With 200 also you can do, you can Google it, you will get an answer. What is the suggested number for sample for factor analysis? 200 can also be done. Then all the statements we have to enter. All the statements we have to enter. Suppose I don't have a study, if I have a study like that. So this is not complete. Some studies we have to, I'm just checking whether we don't have a rows code. We don't have. Every statement by score we should have. Then only we can go for a factor analysis, reliability analysis. Never total your score initially. Whenever you are doing an experimental study also, enter into Excel sheet every statement wise data. Once you total it, it will be difficult. But once you enter statement wise, it is easy to total. So statement wise, all the time you just enter into the statement wise. Before going to the data analysis, make a plan of analysis. Otherwise, it will be later difficult. Any other questions? Any other questions? Yeah. Yes, yes. Yes, sir, we don't go. It is up to the convenience of the researcher. In certain cases, we may have to go for the strict validation. She was talking about the checklist, na? Rubrics and checklists. Yeah. Rubrics, checklist, because doing that is difficult, and it is not possible also. So better to go. The expert opinion is enough for that. Yes, yes, you can do. Yes, yes. We can now break it. Yes. Yes, yes. Question we can take.
The factor analysis can be done only in case these dimensions do not overlap, isn't it? If there is an overlap between dimensions.
Anytime you can do for confirmation also, for confirmation factor analysis and exploratory also. In the exploratory, suppose dimension, you have not taken the questions as per the dimension, then you can go for an exploratory factor analysis. It will give you what are the possible dimensions of the scale. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
I have taken the food, the diet systems, the health aspect,
Yes,
the
sir.
cultural aspect, the conservation aspect, all this I have taken.
Yeah.
And I have made items based on that.
Yes, sir.
When I-
So if you don't want to stick on to that dimensions you have taken, so let the confirmatory factor analysis give you, or exploratory factor analysis give you the possible factor. So they will club a factor, question number 1, 2, 7, 9, 12, it will be one factor. So all the questions you see, and accordingly you can name something for that. Yes.
Exploratory tactics.
Yes. Confirmatory also, whether it is okay or not.
Because when I went
Whether it is as per the approved, whatever the available dimensions or not.
went for a strategical opinion, so that's what told me like there is within sustainability there is overlap. These
Yes.
can be overlap because what we consider health can also be in the social dimension.
Yes, yes. So here what you take is as per the eigen values you can take, which is the factor loadings we will be taking, factor loadings, which is the highest, where it comes as highest value, that where there you can take. In certain cases you find that it is not matching, so you can take it the other case, maybe slight difference, 0.65 or 0.62. So sometimes you will consider it the 0.62 case also. That is up to the researcher's logic. If it is not coming, one or two statements are separate factor, that is not coming, you can remove that also. Accordingly, you can decide. There are plenty of these days. When I was doing my PhD, we were not having any even the YouTube videos regarding that. It was in 2013. Now, plenty of YouTube videos available, one-to-one they can do. So it's very easy to conduct all these kind of experiments, these kind of statistical analysis. Everything you will get. Lots of videos available. I can also share some of the videos I share regarding the factor analysis. Now the trend, when you publish something in an international journal, they will not take all these kind of traditional way. They need only the advanced things only. Some of the, I have a Malaysian collaborator, he mentioned that if you don't have any structural equation modeling, some of the journals will not consider you for review even. They will not review your paper. At least, if it is a quantitative study, you should have a structural equation modeling at least. Later they decide whether it is quality paper or not. They need quantitative paper, minimum they need a structural equation model, diagrams and all. Otherwise they will not even consider for review. But that is not happening in many of our departments. We don't have that culture. Advanced statistics we are not doing. Yes, yes. SPSS, above SPSS we are not thinking even now. But hundreds of softwares are available already. Advanced techniques.
Even all the studies are not going for the factor analysis.
Yes, sir. Now review process has completely changed. Nobody is using the traditional year-wise arrangement review. Nobody can find. Everyone is going for the systematic review. But now most of our research scholars, they don't have even clarity regarding what is systematic review. Prisma framework, how many of you know Prisma framework? Many of you, you have to read it because now everyone is writing the review as per the Prisma framework, systematic review paradigm only. There is a Prisma framework completely looking into the Scopus, Web of Science and such kind of platforms, taking the review, analyzing it properly and making some diagrams and tables, writing the reviews accordingly. The old way of reviewing has gone. Even in India, they started doing that. Most of the psychology departments and commerce department, they started already incorporating these kind of things. Education, most of us, we don't incorporate even now. So we have to start that. Traditional way of review, number 30, 40, that has gone actually. Arrangement chronologically, that has gone. These are the very old practices these days. So we have to implement. Yes, sir.
ഫ്രണ്ട്സ് നമ്മുടെ പ്രൊസീജിയർ ഒന്ന് പറയുവാണ്. നമ്മളിപ്പോ നേരെ പോർട്ടിക്കോയിലോട്ട് പോകുന്നു, ഒരു ഗ്രൂപ്പ് ഫോട്ടോ എടുക്കുന്നു പെട്ടെന്ന് കേട്ടോ. അത് കഴിഞ്ഞതിന് ശേഷം നമ്മൾ ലഞ്ച് കഴിക്കും. പെട്ടെന്ന് ലഞ്ച് കഴിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഉടനെ തിരിച്ചു വരാൻ നമുക്ക് ആരംഭിക്കാം. നിങ്ങളുടെ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് എല്ലാം നിങ്ങൾ ഓൾറെഡി എവിടെ ഇട്ടു? ഗൂഗിൾ ഫോമിനകത്ത് ഇട്ടിട്ടുണ്ടല്ലോ. റെഡി. ഫർദർ വേറെ എന്തെങ്കിലും ചോദ്യങ്ങൾ ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് നമ്മുടെ 22 ഫെബ്രുവരി ഗ്രൂപ്പിനകത്ത് ഇടാം കേട്ടോ. ഞങ്ങളത് കൺസോൾട്ടേറ്റ് ചെയ്ത് സാറിന് കൊടുക്കാം. കഴിഞ്ഞത്തോളം ചോദ്യങ്ങൾക്ക് നമുക്ക് ഉത്തരം കണ്ടെത്താനായിട്ട് പരിശ്രമിക്കാം. പിന്നെ നിങ്ങൾ ചെയ്യേണ്ടത് ഇടയ്ക്ക്